What's up, guys? Good evening. It is Tuesday, November 25th. It's obviously Thanksgiving week, which means it is also the game week. It's Michigan week. So, Justin Coffin here. I'm in Youngstown, Ohio. Greg is right there in the thick of it outside of Columbus. So, that's what this show's going to be. It's going to be Ohio State, Michigan. We're going to get into the game, the rivalry, our feelings, all that sorts of stuff. And hopefully you guys can join us in the comments. Feel free to, give us some of your best takes, your thoughts, your excitement level, your worries, all that kind of stuff. But before we start, just want to make sure everyone knows we are a Youngstown Studio production. Make sure to follow Youngstown Studio, like, share with a friend, all that good stuff. And you can see on the top of the screen there, Instagram, Facebook, and X at 330 Sports Show. Make sure to give us a follow. So, Greg, it's here. The week is upon us, and how you feeling?
I mean, right now, feeling pretty good. I mean, I was thinking today, this has got to be the best week of the year, kind of every year with, I think we're purists. I used to like kind of when the Michigan game was the week before, then you had like two really good weeks, but like packing it all into Thanksgiving week, probably my favorite holiday of the year and the biggest game of the year all rolled into one with some other great NFL, great college football. Not sure it gets any better than this. So very excited. And like we probably all are a little bit concerned, but more excited right now.
Yeah. I obviously the last couple of years have not gone our way, and it has not been quite as fun. But yeah, that's what sports is. Sports is excitement. It's anticipation. It's nerve-wracking. It's all those things mixed into one, and hopefully you get the outcome you want at the end. That's why we're in this. That's why we do this. But us as Buckeye fans, we've had, we've had pretty much a great success beating basically every other team except for Michigan over the last 4 years. But we have been very spoiled since Jim Tressel took over, 17-5 versus Michigan, but they'll let us know that they got the last 4 in a row or however many days it's been since we've beat them. And, they also won't bring up, that they cheated to get several of those wins either, but we'll let that go. But anyway, as you can see there on the screen, number one, Ohio State, 11-0. And I have seen the line. The line, I believe, opened at 11.5 and dropped to 9.5. I've seen it at 9.5. I've seen it at 10.5. I use FanDuel, so I'm just going to go with the 10.5 point spread. Michigan is the number 15 team in the country currently. They are 9-2, and the total in this game is 44.5 points, which to me sounds about right. So we'll get into this. Greg and I almost picked the Rutgers score last week exactly. So I had 42-10. It was 42-9. I think Greg had like 38-10. So we were basically right on point with that. So we're not going to spend a whole lot of time lingering on the Rutgers game. I do want to touch on it just for a few reasons, though. So Ohio State does extend the nation's longest winning streak to 15 games, dating all the way back to last year's November 30th game. But they have taken care of business and taken care of a ton of really good opponents in that time period. Rutgers not being one of them, but they do get a win this week against Maryland, I believe they play, and they're a bowl eligible team. So, good for Rutgers. Ohio State, though, now 11-0 versus Rutgers all time. The leading receiver in this game was Max Clare, 7 catches, 105 yards and a touchdown. Bo Jackson on the ground, 5th 100-yard rushing game of the season, 110 yards, 2 touchdowns. Julian Sayin, just kind of an efficient game, nothing spectacular like the last couple weeks. 157 yards, 2 touchdowns. He has 27 touchdowns on the season, which, believe it or not, is 10th all time in single season Ohio State history, believe it or not. Senior Caden Curry celebrated senior day, goes out, gets 2 sacks in the game and a team high 6 tackles and a forced fumble, which I know Greg agrees with this. Should have been a touchdown. He like
Definitely
cartwheeled in the end zone, but before his, I think it was a butt hit down first, but that ball crossed the goal line. So should have given Caden Curry, the big guy, touchdown. But he does have 9 sacks on the season and 13 and a half for his career. Great defensive player for the Buckeyes. And this is the 7th out of 11 games holding an opponent under 10 points, which is pretty amazing. Actually, I need to update that score. It was 42 to 9, not 42 to 9. Yeah. But either way, pretty awesome game for the Buckeyes there against Rutgers. Obviously, the concern, which we kind of knew, was no Jeremiah Smith in that game, no Carnell Tate in that game. You had Lorenzo Styles get a little bit banged up in that game too, so we're not sure his status for this weekend. But without those two guys, you're going to be a much different offense. When without those two guys on an NFL team, you're going to be very different offense. So, what are you going to do? At the end of the day, it's like we're trying to hold them back.
Yeah,
they're keeping, to use a Jim Tressel comparison, we're holding things a little close to the vest here. Ohio State's very secretive about their injury policy, which these are 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old kids. That's another reason to do that. But just your overall thoughts on that game and like how the Buckeyes handle that injury process.
Yeah, it was definitely just to get us to Michigan game. I mean, we came out, I don't want to say we came out sleepy. I mean, we came out fine. It's just very methodical, but then had the Bo Jackson fumble at the goal line, which,
right.
I was glad they went kind of right back to him because we're going to need him this week. And, I think if you remember back at the beginning of the season, I think that was maybe part of the reason why he wasn't getting playing time early in the year because of the fumble problem. So it was good to get him right back out there and, not punish him for fumbling, but he does, if he doesn't fumble there and we score, I think it's the first half is probably not as tight as it was. I mean, it was one of those games. Definitely. There was never any concern whether we were going to come out on top, but it was like, definitely when you don't have two of the most explosive players in the country, it's going to show. But again, like you just flashed up here, great game from the, great running game. A lot of different, the Sane hit a lot of different targets and, Max Clare being the leading receiver showed a lot of different things, showed a little special teams wrinkle that didn't quite work. But, I think this was also maybe one of those games we talked about this year, putting some things on film for Michigan to kind of think about as we get into next week. But yeah, ultimately it was, get through the game healthy, which we did largely minus the Styles injury and, kind of expend as little of energy as possible. And we did that and still ended up winning by 33 points, which is crazy. Cause it was like, we're sitting here like, yeah, we just came out, we didn't play that well. And it was a struggle and we won 42-9. And the defense just, the defense is the one constant on this team, no matter what. So, but it is like, as soon as that horn sounded, or that final gun went off, it was like, it's go time now. It's Michigan week. So here we are.
And like you said, it was like, it almost felt like a scrimmage in the sense of like, they were just trying to get through that game, and they go out and Rutgers defense is bad. I get that. Their offense is not bad. They have 2 of the top 5 receivers outside of Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate and Mekhi Lemon from USC. Their 4 and 5 guys are at Rutgers, and they pretty much shut them down. So, the defense goes out, continually does its job. Like you said, defense is always the constant. Defense travels well. So whether you're playing this game in Columbus, Ann Arbor, Pasadena, California, Miami, Florida, wherever, defense is going to travel with you. And you look at the awards list, and it is littered with Buckeyes all over it, from Caleb Downs to Sonny Styles to, just Arvell Reese. You just go down the list and name every single guy on that defense, and they're doing something special this year. Do want to touch on this. Ryan Day, too. Again, I mean, how many times does he have to win 11, 12, 13, 14 games in a season every single year? 13-1 Big Ten champs, 7-1 the COVID year, Big Ten champs, 11-2, 11-2, 11-2 last year, 14-2 this year, 11-0. The guy is consistent, and hopefully this year he can get back to his winning ways. Remember, a lot of people are like, he's got to get a win against Michigan. People forget he won his very first game in Ann Arbor at Michigan in 2019 and didn't just win it comfortably. He blew them out. It was like 56-27 or something like that. So let's not forget Ryan Day has won against Michigan in Michigan before. So he has done it before, and it's time for him to break that out again.
And so quickly we forget. I mean, Urban Meyer obviously 7-0 against Michigan, and that's kind of in a national championship, and that'll be his legacy. But the knock on Urban over the years was we would trip up in some games that we shouldn't.
Yep.
Aside from, unfortunately, probably the Michigan game last year, Ryan Day coached football teams do not trip up in games that they shouldn't. And, and as much as the schedule this year kind of didn't pan out maybe the way that we thought in terms of how strong the schedule was, but there was never even a half a misstep in any of these games. And to do that through 11 games, I don't care who's on your schedule. It is an incredible accomplishment. It can't be taken for granted, but it's like really easy to take for granted.
Right.
We just simply do not lose games that we should win. It's not even a thought.
There has only been one, and it was last year, and that's why it's on the forefront. That's the only reason it's on the forefront of people's mind, because it happened last year. In the other two games against the last 2 years against Michigan. So, 13-10, I still can't wrap my head around that game and what exactly happened. Michigan had 2 scoring drives. I believe the one was 3 yards and the other one was maybe even -2 yards. And that's how they got 10 of their 13 points in that game, because we set them up with short fields. I'm pretty sure Will Howard had a concussion in that game. I think a lot of things went wrong, and then they busted one run, and that got them the field goal in a 13-10.
And I think we missed one under 30-yard field goal.
I think we missed 2. We missed 2.
Yeah.
So
it was a Murphy's Law game. It was like you play that game 50 times, we probably win 49 of the 50. But we didn't win that one, so it's not trying to be sour grapes, but it was a very freak game. And I think it's important as we get into talking about what's coming up that we don't allow a game like that to really skew our confidence level or make us question ourselves, because that was just a 1 in 50, a 1 in 100 type game.
Now, I will say this one thing Will Howard said last year that stuck with me during the playoff run is he said, we lost to Michigan. He owned it. He did that. But he said, we can't let them beat us twice. So, and that means, you can't go into the playoffs last year worried about that. Same thing with this team. That game's in the past. There is literally nothing you can do about it. You forget about it. You turn the page. Maybe you hold on to a little bit of that embarrassment and how that felt and how you never want to feel that again. And this time you can take it up to them and do the same thing in front of their home crowd. And to me, tell me if I'm off base on this, but I almost feel like there's a little less pressure sometimes on the road than there is at the Horseshoe in this game.
I think that's a really fair comment. I think that goes for all sports, really, because there's nothing more tense than a quiet home crowd, or when there's that murmur in the crowd of oh my God, you know what I mean? The players feel that. The players feel that tension. I feel like if you ask a player, they would rather play in a loud, raucous road environment than a home environment that's tense and maybe booing a little bit.
Yeah.
And, uneasy, because you really do feel that. And that entire game last year was just quiet and uneasiness the whole time. And unfortunately, I was there and it sucked. But yeah, I think that is a great point. Now, if you're rolling them, like if you're up 3-4 scores, like yeah, let's be at home and just have the place
Yeah,
go
right.
crazy. But when you're in a tight, close, tense game, it's almost like a home field disadvantage sometimes.
So, this year, you can obviously go up there and silence the crowd and get after it and put a little bit of pressure on them. I have some talking points I want to get after on this, but do you think now who, and this is another, because I think the obvious answer is Ryan Day, but who do you think there is truly more pressure on in this game? Ryan Day or Sharon Moore? And let me preface it with saying Ryan Day is coming off a national championship. He has lost 4 in a row to this team. He has lost 4 in a row. We all know that. We all we've heard about it nonstop. But Sharon Moore was an interim in 2023, the national title season. So if something goes wrong, okay, he's the interim coach. It's not necessarily his fault, whatever. And it was his last game he coached, as the interim coach. Last year is a bad Michigan team, or like a below average Michigan team, we should say. And then so he's just going in there playing the spoiler role. Ohio State has everything to lose last year. Michigan has nothing to lose. So what do you think about that? Like, with the who has more pressure on him this year?
Yeah, I still got to say that Ryan Day has more pressure on him. But it's a different kind of pressure than if we hadn't won the national championship last year. Because frankly, if we lost to Texas or lost to Tennessee last year, even being 11-0 going into this game, I mean, you know how ruthless it is here. Ryan Day could, in a sense, be coaching for his job almost. Like, whereas at least that's not a concern right now. He's not going anywhere. Even probably the most hardened Ohio State fan would probably agree that even if we lost this game, Ryan Day should not be fired. But this is the last box for him to check. It's almost like I said, it's like if you think of like, if you're taking if you're basically taking from the day after the Michigan game last year to the Michigan game this year, and that's like a full season, we have checked every single box you can check. We've beat ranked teams. We made a run. We won a national title. We've dominated the entire season. Yeah, okay, we haven't won the Big Ten. Fine. But the last box to check in this little 365-day window is beating Michigan. It almost stands alone, which is kind of cool. I know back in the day when it was a two-team national championship game or a 4-team playoff, it was like this game meant literally everything. This game now is really a standalone game, but it means so damn much. So I do think there's more pressure on Day. But I do think at the same time, like, Sharon Moore has not had a very successful tenure at Michigan. He might get a pass and probably will get a pass if they don't beat us this weekend, because, I mean, there is a clear talent advantage on the Ohio State side. But, it kind of puts him in a tough spot going into next season. I think the fact that they've been able to navigate this year 9-2 with a football team that's probably not really a 9-2 caliber football team,
right?
Has probably bought him a little. It bought him a year, and the fact that they could actually, sneak into the playoff again with a team that just. I've watched a lot of Michigan football this year, and there's never been one moment where I've been like, oh yeah, that really looks like a playoff team, but.
Right.
They're on the cusp and they have that opportunity. But
yeah.
I do think again, this is the Ryan. This is like Ryan Day's. Maybe he's putting most of it on himself, but either way, this is the Ryan Day. Got to check this box.
No doubt. So we're gonna get right into it right now. We're just gonna start with this question: what will it take for the Buckeyes to beat the Wolverines this year? We are the more talented team, from top to bottom roster. we get, especially on the defensive side of the ball, I feel like we are loaded at every position. Offense is really solid. Run game's good. Obviously, we have the absolute freaks on the outside, and that's maybe where the difference could lie. But what, in your opinion, this is a very generic question with a lot of layers to this, but what will it take? Give me a couple of thoughts on what it will take for the Buckeyes to beat the Wolverines this year.
I'd say plain and simply attitude, right? Coming into this game with the right and proper mindset of exactly that. We're going to be aggressive. Mm-hmm. We are the better, more talented team. We are going to take it to them. This narrative that's been created really over the last 4 years, and I think, frankly, it's, the way Michigan kind of has to approach this rivalry, being the less talented team, is they say, well, look, Ohio State's soft. We're going to push them around. We're going to little brother them. They can't handle our physicality. So it's kind of break it. So, and they're thinking that, and they're talking about that this week. Who cares how good they are? They can't beat us, kind of thing. It's getting, so we gotta, in our counter, it has to be, and there can't be any doubt in our minds that we can beat them. And I'm confident that we're going to play that way, but it's just coming out and with matching their attitude and physicality and coming out and punching them in the mouth and trusting coaches, trusting the players trusting the coaches, players trusting each other, and relying on the fact that we are a very talented team, and we're gonna go up there and we're gonna play our best game of the year, this game, and we are not gonna fuck around with conservative play calling. We're not gonna play not to lose. We are gonna play to win. So attitude for me.
Love it. Attitude first and foremost. Another point I wanted to make too that I left off about Sharon Moore and this year too, where a little bit of pressure lies too. Ohio State is already in the college football playoff, but Michigan has to win this game to get in, to even have a chance to get in. They lose, they're out. They're playing in the Pop-Tart Bowl or whatever. Who knows? But if they win, there's a very good chance they're in. So that's another area where Michigan, maybe Sharon Moore in particular, didn't have to deal with that pressure last year. It was just like, all right, well, we're going to go play in whatever. We're just going to go in spoiler. So that was something I thought of that might creep into his mind. He is not. Michigan fans don't necessarily. They like his recruiting ability. I think they like him as a motivator, but they don't necessarily like him as an in-game coach. So that could, play a factor. And hopefully it's not a close game where that has to creep in, but that's something to keep in the back of your mind there. Now, another point I want to make, the last 2 years have been very tight games, one-score games. The 2023 game, it was Kyle McCord at quarterback, and then last year, Will Howard at quarterback. This year's quarterback, Julian Sayin, I think is far and away better than both of them from a talent perspective, from a throwing perspective. I think Will Howard, what he had over those other two is he is maybe more of an outspoken vocal leader, whereas Sayin maybe might be there, but he's a little quieter. It seems, maybe behind the scenes. But even going back to CJ Stroud in 2022, all of those three quarterbacks threw 2 interceptions in each of the last 3 games. And, McCord was not a great quarterback. And obviously that's why he didn't stick around very long. Will Howard last year, listen to this. Will Howard, so Ryan Day has coached 81 games for Ohio State. Will Howard's game against Michigan last year was the worst performance by a quarterback in any of those other 80 games. So Will Howard literally had to play the worst game of any quarterback for Ohio State for Michigan to squeak out a 3-point victory. And, give them credit. They came in, they won, they did exactly what it took to win. And They just got it done. Now, this Michigan offense is a little bit better this year. This Michigan defense has taken a step back, in my opinion, this year. So, but going back to my original point, I think those other two guys, Will Howard and Kyle McCord, 2, 3, maybe 4 times a game, they would put the ball in harm's way very often. I think Julian Sand the entire year has 4 balls, according to PFF, that are like dangerous throws. So like to put the, I think he has 3 picks on the season, but according to PFF, only 4 random throws out of his 300 plus pass attempts have been put in harm's way. So he is your more consistent guy, more steady guy. He's going to get the job done. And I think overall, he's just the better quarterback. So maybe thoughts on like Julian Sand versus like the last couple quarterbacks. And I'm going to take CJ Stroud out of that, but like Will Howard and Kyle McCord.
Yeah. And I think it's, and even as we go back to that McCord game too, like, I mean, that's the best Michigan team that, we've probably seen, I would say at least at least back to 05, or was it
06. Yep.
But probably back to the 90s, back to the Charles Woodson days. I mean, that was a absolutely loaded national championship roster. And we were in their place with Kyle McCord, who you could probably say is the worst is probably a bad word, but the least good Ohio State quarterback in the last 10 years.
Right.
And we had the ball with an opportunity to go down and win the game. And I think Marvin Harrison being open down the field on a play that we just missed that could have won the game. So like, it is good to like level set on those things. Like we probably, that was the one year where they were significantly better than we were, and we still were right there. So I totally agree with you. Because these games do come down to it always, you get, you can X and O all you want and talk about this matchup and that matchup and whatever matchup, a game like this, it comes down to physicality, and it comes down to, who makes the least mistakes or who makes the most big plays, like to capitalize on mistakes. So if we don't turn the ball over, it's going to be very, very hard for Michigan to win this game. So having Julian Sand and hopefully having our full complement of wide receivers against a defense, like you said, it is not your kind of normal Michigan defense, right? USC threw all over them.
You can throw on this team a lot. They're pretty good against the run, not great, but good against the run. But they can be thrown on big time.
Yep. You're always Michigan. It almost goes without saying they're going to be good on both lines. That's just kind of how they operate. But yeah, exactly. Like USC created a great blueprint on how to beat them. And yeah, I feel great with, great at the quarterback matchup going into this game. Great having Sand. Again, Bryce Underwood has a world of talent. But I'll take our chances with Matt Patricia and this defense. And we go back to Matt Patricia in his career is, I'm sure he has the list of quarterbacks that he's prepared to play against is probably a mile long, and a lot of Hall of Famers. So for a freshman quarterback going against this defense and kind of a mistake prone quarterback too, I love the quarterback matchup for us.
And he can get a little bit of revenge factor, and some of those Lions fans that gave him shit for the guy was an NFL head coach, so they don't just there's only 32 of those jobs in the world. They don't give those out to just anybody. So yeah, he might have struggled there, whatever. A lot of coaches struggled in Detroit for a long time. So until Dan Campbell. But yeah, like you said, him with the Patriots preparing against guys. They had some insane record against rookie quarterbacks there too. So,
he's looking at chops. We're going to give him so many looks. We're going to give him kind of dummy looks and really try to get in his head and also like, again, very talented. I mean, he can He can beat you with his arm and his legs. Nobody's questioning his ability, his talent, but he is the type sometimes with a guy that is that talented and he's still young.
Yep.
But you see it at all levels. I'm sure he's dominated everywhere he's been. So sometimes you get some bad habits and bad mechanics. And you definitely notice that with him. The arm drops. Sometimes the footwork isn't there and throws sail, especially when he's under pressure. Yep. So, but when he gets in a rhythm, he can get you up and down the field quickly. But this defense, man, obviously, they're this is a different level. He's never faced a defense like this in his life, and he's going to. You talked about having 4 balls in harm's way. I would expect Underwood to have at least 4 balls put in harm's way in this game, and we got to take advantage.
I was going to say counterpoint to that. I believe he's had 6 over the last 2 games.
Yeah.
So and
including one that would have turned that Maryland game around completely. The guy had to, it was like early in the game. Again, they ended up blowing him out, but I think it was 7-7. It was right in the guy's hands, and I guess that's why some guys play defense and not offense, because the dude just completely dropped it. Right. Probably would have returned it at least inside the 10, probably if not for a touchdown, maybe change the complexion of that game. Those are the opportunities that he's going to give us. We got to make those plays. And I think
Absolutely. Yeah. The defense just has to capitalize. Take your opportunities when you can get it, whether that's rivalry spying him and leading to a sack, or just keep him contained, keep Michigan a one-dimensional offense. They're a pretty good running team. We know that. I believe Marshall's going to play. But their big fullback that everybody gives a lot of praise to, I think he's going to be out. We know Justice Haynes will be out. And so we'll see. Their main guy might be a banged up running back without his best blocking fullback probably in the country. So we'll
and to that point too, they are not we always talk about getting off to a good start, and they're not a team that's built to come from behind. They want to grind it out. They want to make it ugly. They want to control the clock, time of possession. They want to frustrate us. So getting out to a lead early, making them a little more of a throwing team, and being able to kind of lick our chops in the secondary is a great formula for us.
No doubt. And one thing I do want to touch upon that it's probably, I'm sure other people are going to talk about this week, is the psychology of this game. And like you had mentioned it too, Michigan's well, maybe the best way to beat Ohio State is to make them play our game. So we got to get this tough guy mantra out of your football players. You're tough. That what you also are. You're bigger, you're faster, you're stronger, you're more athletic, and you're more skilled. Go out and do what you do well. We have weapons for days on the outside. Get the ball to number 4. Get the ball to number 17. Get the ball in Max Clare's hands. If Innis is, maybe your third guy, or whichever guy wants to step up. Maybe it's one of those freshmen that have a Chris Olave moment from his freshman year. But it's get the ball to your playmakers, and then, you still have Bo Jackson there. You still have Isaiah West there. You still have CJ Donaldson, who I know a lot of people don't love, but he can still get you the ball inside the 2-3 yard line and pound it in. And you got James Peoples, who's coming on lately. So this team
coming out tough and playing with attitude doesn't mean we have to run the ball first and second down.
Exactly.
Distinction there. That's a great point. We got to beat them at doing our best, and we did not do that last year. Now Howard had a bad game, but we did not play to our strengths last year.
No.
We played into their hands.
And I think Jeremiah Smith last year had 5 catches for 35 yards. I know he did have a touchdown, but 5 for 35, that's not good enough. You got to get the ball in your playmakers' hands 7-8 times, like that Tennessee game, like that Oregon game last year. So, So let's move on to what to you is the biggest matchup in this game, whether it's a, offense versus defense matchup, defense versus offense, player, key factor. Give me an X factor in this game, or best matchup.
Yeah, I mean, I would say just our passing game versus their for selfishly for us, right? Our passing game versus their pass defense. Hopefully running on full cylinders. But even if we had Smith playing and no Tate, like still just being able to that is where I think we're clearly better in a lot of respects. Their running game's probably better than ours, but otherwise, like you could probably argue we have advantages at every other position group. But that is that is our biggest strength. And I know people talk about the weather. I know there's like potentially snow in the forecast. I think it's wind. Hopefully, it's like not windy. Like I think as long as it's not snowing sideways or you have 20, 30 mile an hour winds, you can throw the football. And I think that is where we have to come out and like, I would love to see us. I'd love to see us come out and throw every play in the first drive and go down the field and just throw on them and do what we do best. That is what I look forward to. And I also just, as a football fan and a Buckeye fan, just look forward to our defense going against a freshman quarterback and seeing what kind of trouble we can give him. And what kind of frustration we can cause him too, because he has a tendency to, as the kids say, crash out a little bit on the sidelines. Again, it's a kid that, like most freshmen playing at a major college, like he's never been kicked in the teeth before until this season, right? He's never had adversity. He's never not been the best football player on whatever field he's been on. Frustrate him.
And going back,
get him on the sidelines, yelling at coaches, yelling at receivers.
That Oklahoma game was a great example of that. He was very frustrated in that. So yeah, this is another frustrate the hell out of him. That's the best thing you can do. Force some 3 and outs, force some bad throws, frustration, confuse him. So whatever you can do. But going back to your real quick point on the weather, to me, the weather, like you said, like people make such a big, you know what it does in Ohio too? It snows. You know what else it does in Ohio? It's freaking cold. Ask them how cold it was for that Tennessee game last year. I think it was 19 degrees at kickoff or 20. So it's like these guys can play in cold weather. Yeah, and looking at the wind, like the wind at most looks like it's maybe like 6 to 8 miles per hour.
That to me, if you don't have like that is the X factor. You see it in the NFL all the time. It's like it can be snowing pretty hard as long as you're not talking about like significant accumulation on the ground. But the toughest games like to move the football are when it's 20, 30 mile per hour winds.
Right.
And it's just blowing everywhere. But yeah, it's going to be, again, it's going to be that narrative that, that I think the folks up north are going to try to push. And maybe the media will try to push, and the Portnoy's on, Big Noon, like it's cold, it's snowing. If they see any snow, it's like this team can't, they act like we're like, Florida State, or something.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And the fact that we throw the ball a lot, and our running numbers aren't great, like doesn't mean that we're not a physical football team. It just means that we're really fucking good at throwing the football.
Yeah.
So, but again, that's going to be there. It's almost like that's their, that's the way they're going to that's the way they're going to angle it. That's the narrative they're going to create. We can't beat them at their game. We can't be physical or soft. So,
and again, going back to our original point, you don't have to beat them at their game. We all know the stat that's out there. The team that's won the rush battle and X amount of games has won the game. Yeah. Okay. So that's fine. But go out and establish the way we play. And then, you know what? Run it in the fourth quarter because you got a big lead. And then you can win rushing yards that way. I don't give a shit if we have the most rushing yards or not. I just care that we have one more point at the end of the game than they do. That's all the stat that truly matters. I will give you a little bit of a perspective on stats here, though, to just give you a comparison between the two teams. So we know the records, but scoring offense. So Michigan scoring slightly under 30 points a game. Ohio State's about almost 35 points a game. Scoring defense, 8 points, less than 9 points a game, which is fantastic. Michigan's at about giving up about 18 points a game. Total offense is almost equal, basically 420 yards each. Ohio State rushes the ball about at a 54% clip to 46% pass. Michigan, though, runs it 6 out of every 10 times. And then third down percentage, we have an advantage here. 54.7 on third down. Michigan slightly under 50%. Red zone success. This could be a huge factor. 90%. And I know we bitch and complain a lot of times about our red zone success, but you know what? For the most part, we get the job done. There's been a couple games where we've stubbed our toe a little bit. And yeah, you want to finish off a drive with the touchdown, but at worst, you got to get 3. But you don't want to be settling for 3 too much. You want to punch it in for 6. But these numbers all favor Ohio State for the most part. And they really just need to take advantage. And again, just play your game and you should be fine. Play your game, I think if Ohio State would have won last year, I think this line might be 17.5.
Yeah.
I think this is like more of like they gotta prove it to me before I'll trust them. It's kind of that's kind of what it feels like to me.
Yep. Yeah, and it's like again, 4 games. First one was kind of a bad weather game. We were completely dominated on the with their pass rush, and Aiden Hutchinson is one of the best pass rushers in the NFL, and he wrecked that game. Kudos to them.
Yep,
they did that. Year 2, I put no stake in.
And by the way, real quick, that 2021 game, that might have been the worst Ohio State defense of all time, too.
True.
The last 30 years.
True.
So go ahead. Sorry.
The second game, I don't put much stake into that. You say what you want. Like, there was clear something going on in that game. Leave it at that. We talked about year 3, the McCord year, best Michigan team in the last 20 years. Almost beat them, had a chance to beat them. And then last year, just a total anomaly. So when you break it down that way, it's not like this is like 4 years in a row we've gotten our asses kicked, haven't belonged on the field with these guys. So it's like, get that out of your head. And I think too, like the players that have been here, maybe it enters their mind, but who's been here all 4 of those? It's more of a thing for us, the fans, but like the players, like they're just focused. They're focused. They're probably most worried about the fact that they planted a flag on our field last year.
Yeah.
And that factor, as opposed to like, I don't think these guys, all these NFL talents are going to be questioning their own ability just because a team has gotten the better of us the last few years.
Yeah.
So, and obviously the coaches, I'm sure are, I don't know how much you're even addressing it. It's just, we're addressing the things that we need to address getting into that game. So, and there seems to be, and just what you hear out of Ryan Day, there's a quiet, maybe not so quiet confidence in this team. Hopefully I don't like we talk about billboard language and stuff I haven't heard anything of that yet. It's probably, I hope that, and again, the players are probably coached for that too, but a little shit talk never hurt anybody, but it's like, nobody needs to go guaranteeing wins or anything like that. No. But there is a quiet confidence with this group that I think they feel really good between the walls of the Woody Hayes Center. They're not going to maybe come right out and say that. But I don't think there's any fear. I think there's excitement. And I think there's also the fact that hey, we've been kind of holding, and not, I say holding it back, but we've been kind of not going full throttle a lot of this season. This is an opportunity to just open it up and just get after it and play our best game.
All right. To that point, does Ohio State come out loose and just play their game? Think of Tennessee last year. Think of Oregon last year. Oregon in the Rose Bowl last year. Do they come out and just play their game the way they want? What do you think?
Sure as hell hope so. I think we will. I really think we will. Because that's the other thing. When you have a defense that gives up 8 points a game, going up 7-0 is a pretty major thing.
Yeah.
So going up 14-0 or 10-0 is a really major thing. I mean, not to spoil my final score, but I don't think Michigan's going to get to 14 points. So if we could score the first 10 points or the first 2 touchdowns of the game and be up 14-0.
Yeah.
That may be enough to win the game. So like, that's got to be kind of our mindset. Like, it would be great to like, your ideal situation is, win the toss, defer, 3 and out, we get the ball, go down and score. Or we get the ball and go right down and score if it goes that way, and just, throw the first punch.
I'd love to take the ball, to be honest. I know with this defense, it makes so much sense to defer.
Yeah.
I would
we've just been so good we've been so good in the middle 8 that like, and they love that. But I agree. If there was ever a game to be like, we're getting the fucking ball and we're going to be up 7-0 before you touch it.
So, to your point, though, like, if Ohio State wins the toss, defer, get it in the second half. Maybe Michigan does the same thing. I don't know. But I think either way, you can't really go wrong there.
Yeah. But get out to that lead. Get out. It's the key to every football game. So this is not like unlocking some kind of secret formula for winning a game. But a game like this, when we've struggled a little bit, like, take the lead.
Yeah.
Put it on them.
Amen.
Quiet their crowd. Make their crowd give them the home field disadvantage.
Yep.
Get our contingent going. Get our sideline going. Get them kind of uneasy, and and then let the defense because this defense is the ultimate shark, like in the shark in the water. Get them bleeding early, and then this defense will just go out there and just and eat. Like, they don't want to get. Caleb Downs was pissed on the sidelines when he gave up that late touchdown to Rutgers. This defense doesn't want to give up anything. They don't want to give up an inch. They don't want to give up a first down.
You and I were at the Wisconsin game. It's 34-0, and the defense, like the most excited I saw him was that 4th down stop on Wisconsin to prevent them from scoring and getting that shutout. So it's like this defense is built different. And to that point, this Ohio State team, I know they won the national title last year, but this might be the most complete team. We don't have the NFL running backs right now, but maybe those guys develop into future NFL guys. We don't have Judkins or Henderson, but maybe Bo Jackson, maybe James Peoples, Isaiah West develop into those guys. We're just seeing it for the first time. We have the weapons, just like we always do on the outside. We have a good offensive line. We have a great defensive line. Great linebackers, great corners. You can probably go through just about every single position group, save kicker and punter, and we probably have the advantage. So use your advantage.
I think the tight end position.
Tight ends,
play a big factor.
And usually Michigan has the stronger tight ends, but this year that is not true. So very good, very good. And let's not forget about we mentioned Matt Patricia, but also Brian Hartline, and Ryan Day is might have a play caller too up his sleeve too for this game. But again, every now and then you see Michigan break out a trick play. I wouldn't mind seeing. I don't think we're a team that needs to pull a trick play, but what the hell? Why not take a shot? Take a shot like they do all the time, and a lot of times it has worked in the past. Because they've caught our defense sleeping or whatever it might be. But, this team, I would like to see us get out to a lead and then maybe try something like that.
Yeah. It's interesting because that used to be like, my dad would always tell me growing up, like, like Woody Hayes would, they'd be 3 yards in the cloud of dust all year. And then all of a sudden against Michigan, we'd pull all these plays that we never showed anybody. Tressel did a little bit of that too. The game of football has evolved a little bit. Yeah, there are trick plays out there, but now it's like we'll run trick plays, but people won't even realize they're trick plays. It'll be like, hey, this formation we've run this formation 75 times during the season, and we've run 75 times out of this or whatever it is, and we pass it, right? It's that more subtlety, like, of doing things that, again, you're not going to breaking a tendency maybe that you don't even realize maybe until after the game when it comes up that we did that. But can you imagine like some kind of like reverse pass to Jeremiah Smith or somebody like that. I mean, yeah, that would be pretty awesome. And that's why I wonder, people were like, why would we run that play that we ran at the beginning of the second half, the throwback? It obviously didn't work, but, I think, again, it's like, why don't you save that for Michigan? Well, it's like, we maybe have no desire to even do that against Michigan, but we're just putting it out there.
Yep.
Just showing something. It's like the more stuff you can show during the season is just that, they're going to have to spend a minute of prep time or 2 minutes of prep time this week on something like that. It's just, the game's so much kind of deeper than it never was like, oh, we didn't run any flea flickers. Why didn't we run any trick plays? Well, there's a lot of stuff that we're going to be doing that's going to break tendencies and potentially be sort of a trick play in our own way.
Well, we will be blessed with the vocals of Gus Johnson once again on this game. Maybe Julian Sain gets his Heisman moment early in this game. Who knows? But we will have Gus Johnson and Joel Klatt on the call. Big Noon Fox Saturday. So, I mean, we've talked about it a ton. I do want to just get into this matchup, the series. This series, believe it or not, the first game was actually played in October, October 16th, 1897. And I think Michigan won like the first 19 or 20 games in this series. It's something ridiculous. They do have an 11-game lead in the series, 62, 51, and 6. I think if you go back to like 1910 or something right now, Ohio State technically has like a 1-game lead. People will argue till they're blue in the face, red in the face, whatever side you're on, about this rivalry. And to me, it's like, I just go by like what I've seen. And I've been through great times of the Tressel years, the Urban years. But we grew up in some of the bad times with Cooper and the struggles in this rivalry. So we've been on both sides of the coin to know what the absolute jubilation feels like and what the absolute like heartbreak. Last year was maybe the most head scratching game of all of them. But it at the end of the day, we're going to take care of business, and we look at it from a global, perspective, 62, 51, and 6. But, over these last 4 years, okay, it's 4-0, but you broke down those last four years are not like this lopsided, ridiculous, like Michigan is just so much better. In fact, you can say Ohio State was the better team in every single game. Michigan made a few more plays or did this or did that, or Ohio State made this mistake, that mistake that gave Michigan the win. So it comes down to handle your business, do your job, and get after it. So the number 1 Buckeyes travel to the number 15 Wolverines in Ann Arbor. Again, series 62, 51, and 6. Last year, we know the outcome. Michigan won 13-10. We need to end that streak this year, get back on it, get to Indy, but let's take care of this game. So, Greg, key factors in this game and your score prediction.
Yeah, so I mean, we've kind of hit it. We've hit it a lot. Like, come out, play your game. Just there's a different physicality, there's a different mentality that comes with this game. And especially in that tunnel in Michigan Stadium, where both teams come in, it's a different game. It's a different vibe. And there is such thing as coming out maybe too jacked up too. You got to kind of be in control. The old Tresselism, play on the verge of a rage. You don't want to let your emotions get the best of you. You come out, play controlled, but play, with a kind of a controlled chaos. And from the players all the way up to the coaching staff, be aggressive, do what got you here, do what you're best at, and kind of exert your dominance out on that field and show that you're the better team. And the beauty of sports is these last 4 years have sucked. And it's been 6 years since they dodged us in the COVID game. And it sucks. And they're going to have that countdown, 2000, whatever days. It's there. The beauty of sports is we can erase all that on Saturday. Nobody will talk about it because we don't really talk about the dominance that we had in the Tressel and Meyer eras to Michigan fans. It's always, what have you done for me lately in sports? So we reset this clock to, 1 day since Michigan beat us, or excuse me, 1 day since, we start their clock.
How many days since Michigan beat Ohio State?
Yes,
yeah,
exactly. And all whatever happened the last 6 years doesn't matter anymore. So just play your football. And the beauty of this, again, we talk whether it's like, the purists would say, man, yeah, you want to win the conference. Absolutely. You want to get to Indy. Absolutely. We haven't talked about any of that because there's nothing to talk about there. We will have a game potentially in Indianapolis to talk about, and we will certainly have playoff games to talk about, and we will talk about those when it's time to talk about those. But right now there is one game in sight. It is only Saturday. It is only those 4 quarters. Nothing else matters. And that's pretty cool.
It is.
The game really is like a standalone game that really doesn't have any other, besides the Big Ten implications, but doesn't really have any other widespread implications other than like, we need this game. And it's the most important thing right now. And I'm going 31-10 Buckeyes.
Love it. Love it. So Greg with a score of 31-10, I will say my score is similar. I have the same amount of points for the Buckeyes. I do have the Wolverines getting 2 touchdowns. So I'm going 31-14. And hopefully both of those touchdowns are after the Buckeyes are up 31-0. But my score is 31-14. And we have been pretty spot on with most of our scores this year. However, I do want to make a couple points going back to play your game. This is from a guy named Jeremiah on X. I saw this tweet today, and I thought this was a mind-blowing stat. So how efficient, we've talked about, like, you can talk about total numbers, total passing yards, total rushing yards, and whatever. This is a pretty amazing stat. How efficient is Ohio State's offense? They have ran 695 total plays this season. They have gotten a first down or scored on 326 of those plays. That is 47% of Ohio State plays have resulted in either a first down or a score. That's unbelievable.
That's insane.
So do whatever you want with that number. But again, play your game, be efficient. I think Ryan Day getting that national championship last year puts him a little bit more at ease. I think we see Ohio State come out similar. I'm not going to say quite like that Oregon game, because that was maybe the greatest beatdown in a first half we will ever see in our lives, even more so than that Wisconsin Big Ten title game. But I would like to see us come out like that Tennessee game, establish your weapons. I will just say that. So whatever that means, whether that's getting Jeremiah Smith the ball, whether that's, if Carnell Tate's playing, getting him the ball, whether that's running Bo Jackson, Max Clare over the middle, running his tight end, drag routes or whatever it might be. Get your weapons the ball. Let your defense do its job. Contain Bryce Underwood. Keep Michigan a one-dimensional team, because if they have to pass, they're going to be in a world of trouble. It's when they have the option of running or passing when they can be a little bit more scrappy and a little bit more tough to defend. But Michigan is mistake prone. I like Matt Patricia going against this defense. I like Caleb Downs being the quarterback of that defense. I like Arvell Reese spying Underwood if necessary. And I like overall, outside of our 2 top wide receivers, a little bit banged up, I like our health for the most part going into this game as well. So, yeah, I'm going 31-14 Ohio State. Greg is on 31-10. So if you've been betting with us this year, you're probably doing pretty well betting the Buckeyes. And I think we're 10-1 now, or 10-1 or 9-1-1 or something like that against the spread, something like that. But either way, we both like Ohio State to win in the game. Again, it's a big matchup, and just end the drought.
There's definitely, and trying to say this without bias at all, there is definitely value in that 10.5. And if I had a hunch, Friday, Saturday morning, you may see that line creep back up 11.5, 12.5, maybe. I think the sharp money is going to come in on Ohio State, because you made a great point. Like, you take away the two teams, and if you were just like handicapping this game based on what each team brings to the table, this is probably at least a 14.5 point spread.
Yeah.
But the rivalry factor,
yes,
the fact that it hasn't gone our way, I think in general, I imagine they weigh maybe a rivalry game and like tightens things up a little bit. And also just the fact that things haven't gone our way recently probably is worth 3 to 4 extra points. So, if you're, if you're kind of thinking that the outcome is we are going to come out and play aggressive and throw the ball a lot and do exactly what we said, you should absolutely be on the Ohio State side. If you're betting the Michigan side, you're kind of betting the fact that we're going to struggle in this game and maybe not do the things that got us here.
Yep.
Because, that will lend itself to a tighter game. It's just hard. Like, if, again, with this offense, if we can score 24 points, if we can score 28 points, if they beat us, then they will unlock something that nobody's come close to unlocking. 20 points should be more than enough to win this game. So it is like that helps too, that you can kind of, it takes a little pressure off your offense. It's not like, oh my God, we got to outscore these guys. It's like, no, we just got to be efficient and put some points on the board, and the defense will do the rest.
Don't give them an easy
opportunity. Don't give it, yeah, exactly.
So that was going to be my next question. Like, how many points truly does Ohio State need to score to win? And I think probably the answer is 17.
Yeah.
To feel safe, but obviously let's just not let's not leave it to that. Let's go out and score, handle business. I think
20, get a more than 20. I mean, I do kind of lean the under in this game based on my score, just because it could, it could be a little more grinded out. It depends, like, if again, if we're kind of running under the assumption that we're going to have Tate and Smith. I think at least Smith. The Tate injury, I think, is very, like, they're both, they're both cryptic, but the Tate one, I think, is especially cryptic because it came out of completely nowhere.
Yep.
And there's been no talk of it. And Smith is walking around, like we said, walking around like we walk around when we get up in the morning, but Tate's like shown there's nothing that he's shown that says he's hurt. I've heard maybe he's got a sore Achilles. I have no idea, but it's all bullshit. Like, who the hell knows?
Yeah. Nobody. Only those guys in the Woody Hayes Center truly know.
Yeah.
And so, we'll leave it at that. And hopefully we will come back and touch on this game just briefly one more time at the end. I do want to touch real quickly on rivalry week and some of the other games that will be played. And I'm just going to put them up here on the screen. I'm going to take this banner down. But obviously we've talked for an hour on Ohio State, Michigan. But you have Texas A&M at Texas this weekend. Vanderbilt at Tennessee in the matchup of Tennessee teams. Ole Miss at Mississippi State in the Egg Bowl. And that's a short line there. I think it's like 6.5 Ole Miss. Oregon at Washington. That could be a real good game depending on the health of Washington. Alabama at Auburn. I mean, you never know in that game either. Miami. Here's an example of a warm weather team going north, and that could affect their game plan. Number 13, Miami, goes up north to Pitt this weekend and takes on the 24 Panthers, who got absolutely annihilated by Notre Dame, but then come back and just beat the doors off of Georgia Tech last week. So that game has pivotal ACC and playoff implications there. Arizona at Arizona State, Georgia, Number 4, Georgia at Georgia Tech, who Georgia Tech probably should have beat them last year at Georgia. So they get a revenge factor in that game too. So those are some of the rivalry games. I'm not going to touch on the Youngstown State game. I will have a separate little piece on that. But YSU does host Yale in the first round in Youngstown this weekend. And I don't know why, but they made it a freaking noon game, which I know
smart.
TV controls that stuff, but come on, like putting a team from Ohio, with a very rabid Ohio State fan base in Youngstown, and then making people choose between, going to Youngstown State or watching Ohio State, Michigan. I guess technology now, you can watch one game on the phone and be at the other game, but still that kind of pissed me off. Mount Union, right here in the 330 in Alliance, Ohio, they are the number 2 seed overall in the D3 bracket. They host, I believe it's Muhlenberg in Alliance this weekend. Kent State travels to Northern Illinois on Friday, and Akron, their season's done. They finished 5-7, respectable 5-7 for the Akron Zip. So, Greg, out of those, those FBS matchups in rivalry week, what are you looking forward to this weekend outside of the Buckeyes?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, all these rivalries are fun to watch. I think and anything can happen in these games. The one that sticks out to me, Texas playing a lot better. I know they got blown out by Georgia, but Arch Manning's playing a lot better. It's like we knew they started off the year really rough. They're a very talented football team. That is a kind of a danger game for A&M. It's kind of like, again, you go down. Sometimes it's just like who needs this game more, and Texas absolutely needs this game. So I like Texas to win that game. So that's going to be kind of my upset special there. But again, these games could get very interesting. The Egg Bowl with potentially Lane Kiffin, it sounds like it may be more likely than not he's exiting to either LSU or Florida. That game, it notoriously gets really weird. The cowbells are always an interesting thing in Mississippi State. That could be a tough one if that team's not completely focused. And then all these other ones. I would love to see Pitt historically. I mean, we have friends that went to Pitt. We've followed Pitt a lot. They've struggled in the big game, right? The game to kind of get over the hump. This is a great opportunity for them. And again, like you said, it's a warm weather team coming up north. Would love to see Pitt kind of get that. If they win, will they play in the ACC championship? Or is it
I believe so. I believe so, because now they have the tiebreaker over Georgia Tech.
Yeah. They've unfortunately lost these type of game for a really long time. But boy, would this be a great opportunity to get a huge win. So I'll be rooting for Pitt in that game. I don't know if I'll be betting on Pitt in that game, but yeah, it'll be a hell of a week. For as bad as last week is, we know, rivalry week, you're going to get, you're going to get a lot of great matchups. You're going to get a lot of, extracurricular type activity. Last year was the flag planting year. I hope that, I don't like seeing that. There's
no need.
No need for that shit. But, you definitely see a lot of physicality and a lot of hate, which,
and same thing with Ohio State. We win that game. Hopefully we celebrate, do Carmen, Ohio, and then, go celebrate with your fans and then get your ass to the locker room and go get ready.
Thing. I guarantee you we will not plant any flags or do any of that bullshit because we don't need to.
Yeah. And they know. And obviously, this is one of the main goals of the season. It used to be the main goal of the season, but now it's, get to the playoffs, national championship, Big Ten title, stuff like that. But obviously, you still want to handle your business against Michigan because that is the first of many of your goals going forward. Real quick, looking at the ACC standings. So it is Virginia at 9-2. They're 6-1 in conference. Pitt is 8-3, 6-1 in conference. SMU is 8-3 and 6-1 in conference. So Virginia plays Virginia Tech. this weekend. So they should be favored in that game. But Virginia has been an up and down football team, and SMU is playing Cal. So I would assume SMU is going to handle their business there. So I don't know how the tiebreakers work, but I believe if Pitt wins, they are in the ACC title game, and probably deservedly so if you go out and beat Miami and Georgia Tech the last 2 weeks. So so we'll see how that all shakes out. But there's some good matchups in rivalry week, and I'm just hoping to sit back. I will say the one thing about this week, I do love Thanksgiving. I love the lead up to Thanksgiving, the kickoff to the holidays, but I don't necessarily love all the lead up to the Ohio State-Michigan game. I just kind of I love when we take a lead and win, but there's part of me that's just like, I just want it to be over. I just want it to be over. I love the rivalry. Obviously there's nothing better than when we win, but there's part of me that's just like, I just want it done and over with. So, so I don't know. We'll leave it at that.
What will you, all right, come like 11:45 on Saturday, what is going to be your primary emotion?
Nerves. I will be, usually I will probably have to have a drink or two to calm my nerves. Last year, a lot of people know family wise, like my mom was selected by ABC and Disney, and we got sent down to Disney on this cruise, and our flight just happened to be at like 1 p.m. on Saturday of the Ohio State-Michigan game. So I was watching the game on my phone on awful Wi-Fi. So I would see like every fourth play. And I literally got an alert on my Apple Watch that said, are you okay? Your heartbeat is very unstable right now. And I believe the year, I think 2022, I also got that notification. So, so this game puts a lot of extra feelings inside me. Not always my favorite feelings, but it's part of what comes with this game. It's nerves, it's excitement, it's everything. Part of you wants to puke. It's a little bit of everything into one.
It's sports. It's a game. It's not life and death, but it's
in that moment. It feels
it's very personal, especially with what's happened the last few years. And it is like, in the context of sports, it is as big as it could possibly get.
Yes.
So, and we put our heart and soul into this, just like this fan base does. I think we do it in the right way. Mm-hmm. We're not going to be, sending death threats if somebody doesn't make a play, but we're passionate about this team. We're passionate about our teams. We're passionate about our state and our school. And nobody, and I'm certainly not going to apologize for that. Right. I'm not going to apologize for caring and, wanting this really damn bad. And that makes it beautiful when it happens. You got to, it is life, right? You got to put yourself out there in life, and you may get your heart broken, but when you put yourself out there and you go all in, when it pays off, the good is going to be, the feeling is going to be so good. Mm-hmm. And you're risking the heartbreak. But that's
better to have loved and lost than never loved at all.
That's it. So not to get all Hallmark on you, but I mean, that's really what it comes down to. So it's wouldn't have it any other way.
Exactly. And that's why we love this game so much. So much it might make you want to puke sometimes. All right. We're going to have a little fun here because we've been, nerve-wracking and talking the game and all the tensions and stuff. But it is Thanksgiving week, and we're going to do a little Big Ten edition of Smash or Pass. So we're going to compare each Big Ten team to a Thanksgiving food, and I'm going to give you a little read up, but I want you to tell me if smash, you love it, or pass, not your thing.
Like the actual food or
the
the
actual
analogy?
food. The actual
Okay.
food.
Yeah.
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 So, but I'm just for fun, I'm going to
Yeah.
add a little Big Ten wrinkle of each team. So let's start with the Buckeyes. The turkey, the centerpiece, the expectation every year is greatness. And if it's even slightly off, like a game last year, everyone complains. But when it's on, like the playoffs, absolutely elite. Turkey.
Smash that turkey.
I will say, okay, so this year at my we usually do Thanksgiving at my mom's. So this year because turkey, I like turkey. It's not my favorite though. We are actually doing turkey, we're doing steak, and we are doing salmon this year as like the 3 main courses and then a bunch of the sides. So yeah, I'd still smash a turkey. I would like to do a fried turkey at some point in my life.
Yeah,
never had that.
I've never had one of those, but yeah.
All right, so
as long as it's not like the Christmas vacation turkey, I'm
Amen. All right, next one. Indiana, mac and cheese. New to some on Thanksgiving tables, but instantly one of the best things there. Loaded with flavor and talent, and everyone keeps going back for more. I thought that was a good comparison to Indiana. So mac and cheese, I don't know if that's a staple with you guys, but smash or pass?
Yeah, so I'm an oddball. As you probably know, I'm not a big cheese guy. So mac and cheese is good. I like good old Kraft mac and cheese, but I'm gonna pass on the Thanksgiving mac and cheese.
Okay.
Respectfully.
I like give me a small portion of that. It's always good. It's always good to have around. All right, next one. Oregon, stuffing. Always ranked in the top tier of dishes, solid, dependable. Some people like stuffing more than the turkey, but people debate whether it's elite. And somehow it never quite becomes the star of the table. So Oregon as stuffing, smash or pass?
Yeah, stuffing's my Thanksgiving goat, so I'm smashing that hard.
Nice, yeah. My grandma, rest in peace, made literally the best stuffing of all time, and we still have like family members and friends that still ask for that recipe because there was like green peppers in there, and it was just so good.
It was legit like stuffing from scratch.
Yes.
Has anybody been able to replicate that? Usually,
not to the exact level. Yeah. No, never.
And that's the grandma thing. It's like you might find the recipe, but there's like couple things that aren't in the recipe that she would just throw in there that nobody knows. You gotta if you don't watch them cook it, you'll never know.
Oh, and a little ounce of love.
That's it. Probably like lard or something like that. But you know
probably. Yeah. If you're not sure what it is, it's probably very fatty and but makes it delicious.
Yeah.
All right. Michigan, gravy. Pairs well with the turkey in big moments, like the rivalry game, and sometimes overshadows it, like in the past. Also can make a mess over everything when it's poured too heavy and can be gross. So gravy, smash or pass?
I'm a pass on gravy. Like I like to mix things with the turkey, but I'm not a gravy guy.
I like, again, just like the mac and cheese, just give me a little bit of it, not too much. All right, next one. USC, sweet potato casserole. Some people might call it yams or whatever, but flashy, sweet, lots of talent, sometimes incredible, sometimes too sugary, and occasionally torched on the top. So your thoughts on sweet potato casserole or yams or whatever?
Yeah, I'll smash it lightly. Like it's a good sort of, different flavor to put on the plate.
Yeah. Adds a little color to the plate too, a little orange in there. I like a sweet potato like out at dinner and stuff like that, but I'm not really a big sweet potato guy at Thanksgiving, so I'm gonna pass on that one. Washington, cranberry sauce. A little tart, a little sweet, and when it's good, it's really good. When it's bad, you wonder why it's even there. So Washington cranberry sauce. Now, we always did cranberries like out of that can. You could almost see like you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, I know. Yeah, yeah.
I always loved that. So I'm smashing that. How about you?
I'm smashing it too. That's like over the years I've really I kind of said, I like to kind of mix a lot of things together. I know some people are like, I don't like to mix stuff on my plate, but I love to mix it. and just throwing that little cranberry sauce in there. Again, it's all about flavors, and I love the cranberry sauce smash.
Nice. All right, next one. Iowa. Green bean casserole. Not glamorous, but somehow always on the table and often more successful than you think. Plenty of people swear by it. Plenty of people swear at it. I love green bean casserole, so that's a smash for me.
That's usually that's usually kind of at least the one thing that I'm cooking every year is the green bean casserole. So smash. Absolutely.
Nice.
Love it.
Do you put the onions on top of it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Worcestershire sauce for me is the key. Like it's like again, I'm not a creamy guy, so I will go a little easier on the milk, a little heavier on the Worcestershire, and load up on those onions on top. It's delicious. Again, it just fits in real nice.
Side note, little TMI about me when I was a little kid. I used to sneak into one of my grandparents' cabinets, and some people might sneak a little booze when they were younger. I would drink straight out of the Worcestershire bottle, just straight. Might be why I am the way I am today.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious! Would you have you done that recently?
Well, no, but I would. I love flavor, so like give me. I'd drink that shit right out of the bottle. All right, next one. Minnesota, leftovers. So like we're talking next day leftovers can be anything. Once legendary, just like Minnesota has some of the most championships in the Big Ten, but now everyone wonders this year if they'll finally taste good again. Still living on the memory of what they used to be. So leftovers, do you smash or pass?
Smash, but I'm not like crazy about it. But there's always plenty, and it's not so bad. I know some people are like, I like the leftovers better than the actual meal. Yeah. I don't, but I will, and only select things. Like I'll throw like a little bit of turkey, a little bit of stuffing, mashed potatoes, and like maybe green bean casserole, and pop in the microwave for 30 seconds, and that'll be good. But I'm not going crazy on the leftovers.
Okay, I agree. I like leftovers a little bit, but it's like it kind of reminds me of going to Mongolian barbecue. Like everything kind of tastes the same the next day. What I do like though is like getting some like whole wheat toast or something, toasting that up, and then making like a turkey sandwich with a little bit of mayo, maybe some mustard or something, and make a good sandwich out of that. So I will say smash.
And even now, like restaurants, you can get like Thanksgiving sandwiches essentially, right? Where it's just all, like I just said, it's like all the shit that is on your plate, just put it between two pieces of bread, and that's not bad either.
Agreed. All right, next one. Nebraska. Where are we going other than corn? Simple, Midwestern, never the main event, but always present. Solid, occasionally surprising, very on brand for the Huskers. But corn, I like corn on the cob in the summer, but give me a little bit of corn on my plate, for Thanksgiving. Why not?
Yeah, smash. I would never pass up corn. If it's in the line, I'll always be at least putting a spoonful on.
The good thing about Thanksgiving too is you got a lot of different colors represented there.
Yeah.
So that's always good. A healthy way to eat too. Illinois. Now, I went with ham on this one. I do like ham. It's not the star of Thanksgiving, but sometimes surprisingly a good alternative if you're not in the mood for turkey. Still fighting for a consistent spot on the plate. I've heard over, some of these national shows and stuff, they are saying, turkey, some people love it, but it's, such a tradition that everyone has it. But like I said, we're doing steak this year as well as turkey, and we're doing salmon. But there's some different alternatives, and ham could be one of those. So ham, smash or pass.
Yeah, it's not typically what we would do on Thanksgiving, but if it was there, you give me a honey baked ham, I'll smash that. Those are damn good.
Oh, honey baked ham any day of the week. And that's like, for me, it's like Thanksgiving represents turkey, but like, ham for me is like more of like a Christmas type.
Or like an Easter, yeah.
Yeah, or Easter, exactly. So, all right, next one. Penn State, deviled eggs. Popular, flashy, explosive flavors, but can disappear quickly. Start sometimes, and sometimes an uneven finish. I am I have people in my family that love this. I am not a deviled eggs guy, so I'm passing on this one.
Yeah, if they're there, I do like a good devil egg. I'll smash, but that's one of those things that's like you got to get them cold, kind of ready
Yes.
to go. Like those are the things that they'll sit
You don't
out for
want
a
those as
couple hours.
leftovers.
Yeah, they'll sit out there for a couple hours. They'll start to get a little runny, and then
Yeah.
no.
Yeah. We're definitely passing on the old room temperature deviled eggs, but you get them right off the bat. Yeah, that could be a smash. All right, next one. Northwestern pumpkin pie. Smart, steady, a little underrated, and when it hits, it's quietly one of the best things at the table. But production varies wildly year to year. So pumpkin pie, smash or pass.
On Thanksgiving, I'm smashing. It's good. It's like I probably would never have it any other day, but it's not that I don't like it.
Yeah.
It's perfect for Thanksgiving and it just fits.
Agreed. We're both a smash on that one. UCLA dinner rolls, soft, warm, reliable, but rarely the focus of attention. Good addition to the table, but not usually a game changer. Very similar to the UCLA Bruins. But I'm smashing a good roll.
I mean, I don't think I've ever met a carb I didn't like. So yeah, definitely. if you could get like they could be kind of warm, fresh out of the oven, even better. And soft, like the soft ones, not the the ones that like are rock hard. But
you need to like rip it open too, especially like if you're a gravy person or some other foods that might be on this list in a minute. You use that almost like a spoon.
Absolutely. It's great for mop up. Like you get you got all the good stuff still sitting on your plate. You can mop up with your roll and yeah.
There you go. All right, next one, Wisconsin, who's come on of late, so they get mashed potatoes. Classic, dependable, big and heavy. Everybody knows exactly what they're getting. Power, consistency, no frills. Mashed potatoes, that's a definite smash for me.
Absolute smash. Yeah.
Some people might put mashed potatoes right towards the top too as well.
Yeah.
Favorite dish. So all right, next one. Rutgers, we're going with Jell-O here. Colorful, fun, often overlooked, but hey, it brightens the table and occasionally surprises you. I'm not a big Jell-O guy, so
yeah, I'm passing on that as well. I mean, I like the cranberry sauce, but not necessarily the Jell-O.
Tell you, I'm really passing on Jell-O if Bill Cosby brought it.
You put the pudding in the pudding pop.
Yeah. Wasn't he a spokesperson for
Jell-O?
Jell-O?
He was. He definitely was. Yeah, here, have a little Jell-O.
It's the tryptophan. You're getting sleepy. Oh boy. All right, Maryland. I'm going a little different with Maryland. We're going crab dip here. Feels like a little out of place at Thanksgiving. It's super exciting at first, disappears quickly when the competition gets tougher. Crab dip. I kind of like crab dip, not necessarily on Thanksgiving, but your thought?
Yeah, again, this is where I get weird with like I'm not a big like cream cheese or any of that guy, so I'm going to pass on that. I do love crab, but not necessarily crab dip.
That's fair. Michigan State. So we're down to our final two. Michigan State. Cheap wine someone grabbed on the way to grandma's house. It's inconsistent. One sip is okay. The next is questionable. It's not the fancy stuff your relatives brag about, but it somehow always ends up in the middle of the table. I don't care on Thanksgiving. I don't care if it's good wine, bad wine. Just give me it. I'm drinking it. Smash.
Smash as well. I wouldn't know the difference between a $200 bottle of wine and a $20 bottle of wine. I'm going to admit that my palate is not that advanced. I am not Paul Giamatti from Sideways. So, and
don't get the Merlot.
Yeah. And arguably one of the best parts of Thanksgiving is taking a nap after that meal and, eating the turkey and tryptophan and just all that food is a big part of it, but topping it off with a nice glass of wine is going to make that nap even that much better.
Absolutely. And then the day, it gets dark so early, you wake up, you don't have any idea what the hell day it is.
Exactly.
Maya here, or May Avenue, Misfit. 8-14. Penguin City Light as a chaser there. That's good too. A nice little beer there on Thanksgiving too. Why not? And finally, Purdue, the weird pie with the weird flavor combo. You look at and think, oh, this could be interesting. Sometimes it slaps. Sometimes it's confusing science experiment. Fits their mad scientist reputation perfectly over there at Purdue. So smash or pass a weird pie other than maybe pumpkin or apple.
Yeah, I'm big about I like to know what I'm eating. I like what I like. I'm not adventurous when it comes to trying new food, so I'm going to pass.
All right, that's fair. That's fair. All right, so that was our just a little bit of fun since we talked about it. But Greg, we're gonna go right back. Final thought: Ohio State, Michigan. So we'll give our score predictions one more time. Greg's going 31-10 Buckeyes. I am also at 31 points. I'm gonna go 31-14 Buckeyes. So that is our final score predictions. Just final thoughts on this game before we close out. Any last comment?
Yeah, I guess just taking it from Varsity Blues. I mean, some people would say 60 minutes for the next 60 years of your life, but I say 60 minutes for the next 60 minutes. And we go out there and we play our best football, our best game of the year. We make this university, this state proud. We take the gold pants back. And we basically flush these last 6 years in 4 quarters. So do what we do best and cap off what's been a tremendous regular season with so much more to come.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is, again, we're not looking past this game. There's so much ahead for this team. But you go out, you take care of business. Like we said, play your game. Go out, silence the haters. You don't need to talk shit. You can be a little chippy here and there if need be. Stand up for your teammate, talk a little trash here and there, but go out. Don't worry about them. Ohio State's biggest enemy and toughest opponent sometimes is themselves. So you go ahead, handle your business, and I think you're going to be just fine this Saturday. Go Buckeyes. Any final other things maybe we didn't touch on? I feel like we covered it pretty well, but anything else maybe we forgot to mention?
No, let's not forget that they planted their flag in our midfield last year. And I'm sure we're thinking a lot about that, but let's make it a great day to be a Buckeye. It's always a great day to be a Buckeye, but let's make it a really great day to be a Buckeye.
We're closing out on that. Go Bucks, beat Michigan.
Thank you for listening to this show on Youngstown Studio. This is original Youngstown content. Feel free to share our videos and tell your friends about us. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube